Okay, all right. I think we're good. We're going to go ahead and get started. If I get a little sidetracked here or there, it's only because we're still letting people in, but we're excited that you joined us tonight. We've got something really special to be able to share with you. I'll have my husband bring up some slides here. Thanks. Cool. All right. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to go ahead and like I said, we're real excited. You know, this is an industry that Bobby and I have been in now for 32 years. And the first 25, we were actually with the company that had some what I'll call direct antioxidants, multivitamins type of thing. And we did really well for 25 years, but then we found out about Lifevantage about 7 years ago. And you know, so many people out there today, more than ever before, are looking for, good products, good health, overall health. We definitely have an answer for that. But there's also a great need for people to be able to make money as well. And we're going to address both of those. We'll only keep you for 30 minutes. We will go super fast with this. But we're going to give you a good overview of what Lifevantage has to offer as far as activation. And then Bobby's going to come back and he's going to talk to you a little bit more about how we go about making money. And like I said, two big industries are health and also wealth these days. So anyway, products, we have activators, very different than supplementation, and we're going to address why they're so special, why they're so different. They are well tested, well studied, well patented. We've got everything in line with our products. Our company is publicly traded. We are on the NASDAQ LVNF. So, the stock has done extremely well. And the timing, now again, as I said, when you look at our society in a whole, it's getting older. And the demand for good health, the alternative is not out there. They say people on an average more so than ever can spend 5, 10, 15 years needing assistance, and who wants to have their kids have to take care of them or in a nursing home or whatever. So health is certainly important. And, in order to have the advantage of all those healths and all the medical advances we have, you need the money. So the two of that, and never has there been a better time to have multiple businesses too. So timing is good for so many different reasons. And Bobby will spend more time going over that. And then, the earnings, you can supplement using your products here, or you can earn big if that's what you want to do here, as Bobby and I have done. And I'll share more of our story. Again, first 25 years, we sold direct antioxidants, did a little over 200 million in sales. That netted us several million. We've been with Lifevantage, and I really need to pull the figures. We've done extremely well in the last 7 years, and we're real excited about what's going on. And every day we see a lot more momentum because people are finally getting the word out about activation. And that's what we need to share because we do have something super special. So we take it to make it. We empower our bodies to make antioxidants, proteins, enzymes. We have a full line of products, so much more than they originally started. But there's so much going on with this activation on how it can help you both financially and as far as your health. This is the first product. This product is actually, in two parts. The product itself, or the discovery of what the product does, was actually discovered in 1968. And what was discovered at that time in layman's terms is that, and this is how I heard it. Remember, we came from a company where we shared direct antioxidants. But we found out at this point that your body could essentially make its own antioxidants. And you can see on the bottom, million times per second, the antioxidant value is really what it can produce. And what that means when you reduce oxidative stress, and that's a medical term. We create oxidative stress just simply by eating, breathing, exercising, creates those free radicals. And it's been proven we cannot supplement, we could not take enough foods in as far as antioxidants to fight all those free radicals. So the deficit is a medical term called oxidative stress. And I'll show you some of the studies in a little while on that. But the important thing here, and if you only take one thing away, oxidative stress reduces aging and disease. And that's really what a lot of these studies are on. So it's fighting that oxidative stress, it's reducing it, which is known to just continually rise and get larger as we get older. So in order for us to come to the equivalent of this one pill, because, when we found this product, Bobby and I were already taking 3 of the 5 plant-based ingredients in it. And then we thought, well, what if we just add 2 more? And it doesn't work that way. Again, it is patented, it is well studied. In fact, there are some 30 studies on the product itself, not the ingredients, but the product. But in order to come close, and you really couldn't do this, but in order to come close to protandim, you would need to ingest every day. And again, think of the cost, not only the product doing this, but 400 oranges every day, 500 cups of broccoli every day, 110 cups of blueberries, and then ingest 120 tablets of vitamin C, which would be just, that would be lethal to you. So you couldn't do that. So this shows oxidative stress here. And the illustration here is showing that if we took 4 people, one was a 20-year-old, and then we took a 40-year-old who'd been on Protandim for 4 months, a 60-year-old who'd been on Protandim for 6 months, and an 80-year-old who'd been on Protandim for 8 months, because we know, studied, every month you're on Protandim, you reduce a whole decade of oxidative stress. It would appear that they all had the same low level of oxidative stress, again, reducing that disease and aging, all the benefits that we so much want. So again, this is back to that pubmed.gov. Today, there are well over 320,000 studies, all on oxidative stress, relating to all different areas of the body and any disease and aging you can imagine. You can go ahead and Google it. Now, Bobby and I have had the privilege of working with a lot of doctors. A lot of them are on here tonight. But you can see anybody can really read the summary. PubMed.gov, anybody can go to that site. You can probably make out the summary on any of these studies. You don't necessarily need to be a doctor in the health field. But what you'll notice is every time we reduce oxidative stress, we reduce that disease and aging. And to date, this discovery, the original discovery of this pathway was in 1968, as I said. The product was brought to market in 2003. There has not been another company out there or another formulation or another product that has come anywhere near what this Protandim does. It was like finding a needle in 3 haystacks. But the cool thing, and the part where you all come in, is this activation, this reducing of oxidative stress is so unknown at this point. Nobody knows of it. This product originally sat on the shelves in GNC and failed miserably because nobody knew about it. In fact, in 2005, ABC Primetime did an undercover investigation of this product. So whoever invited you here tonight, if they didn't show that to you, please ask them to show that video. I think it's like 5-8 minutes. It's not terribly long. It's a wealth of information, but it just shows you what an aha product we have on this. And it is the most unknown product out there. I think we have to date about 60, 70,000 consultants that are with us sharing the word of this product. So such a cool product. It has about 74% reorder rate, all our products. But here's the study. There are over 30 different studies. They paid for these studies themselves. These are independent medical universities, associations that did these studies out of their own pocket because they were so curious about this product. They couldn't believe the results that we were getting. So again, no other nutritional product out there has anything like this. So this is super cool for us. But you know what? Our company didn't stop there. We've got a whole line of products and we couldn't get into them all tonight. But collagen is a buzzword, particularly if you're on Facebook or Instagram. Everybody's using collagen. Bobby and I originally thought it was maybe just for your face, for your wrinkles. And I, don't get me wrong, I was excited about that if we got some results. But I know some girls with some other companies that, they're really not getting the results with the collagen. But collagen goes so much further than that. It makes up about 25 to 35% of our body. We know as we get older, we greatly lose it by the time we're 30. I would bet probably a lot of us are over the age of 30, if not double that age. But at 30, you're losing it. By 40, it's going backwards. So it's so important for our nail health, but eye, liver, sleeping, mental health, gut health, joints, joint pain. We get amazing results with helping people with that. Bone strength. There's a lot of great results. that you do need to supplement with a great collagen. And we have the only producer of collagen. So it activates 100% of the collagen for you. It activates it. It replenishes 10 different types of peptides or collagen. You know, out there, if you look at a lot of these, and if you can read the label on what most people are taking, it's one, maybe two, three types of collagen. We have 10 types of collagen. And then the better part of that is it's maintaining the collagen. It's turning off the gene that degrades that collagen. And you can see this is an 8-week study, the improvement in the collagen. And really all you need to look at is, the black went from more yellow and white and green, and it's just showing more collagen density. And it's so cool that we do have these studies. So again, collagen density was increased by 100%. Crow's feet was reduced by 22%. Skin roughness decreased by 10%. Blood catalase, so important, 202%. And then skin elasticity by 8%. But, a lot of times people say, what's not in it? There's no sugar, no artificial sweeteners. It is non-GMO. It's dairy-free, gluten-free, and it is soy-free. But we use the two of these together. Interesting study. The company, most of us were already using Protandim. We'd be like, duh, not to be using Protandim because it's such a powerhouse product. And then we added the collagen, and the company, the first 30, 60 days was blown away by the results we were getting when using the two. So, the Protandim definitely amplifies the results that we are getting with the collagen. So who doesn't want to speed things up and just stay more healthier? These are some pictures. I can tell you the lady on my left, that necks are really hard and ladies know this. She's 70 years old. Look at the results she's gotten. So we have gotten amazing, amazing results with these. And I tell everybody, when you get started on this product, take a before picture, and then 30 days later, take another picture, just so you can go ahead and compare the results you're getting. Because sometimes we just forget, or we're super hard on ourselves and we don't realize. But after that, and more recently, we've activated weight loss. So there is something in your body that can actually help you lose weight. And this really has rocketed our company. So we've come out with a product that is a GLP-1 activator. And so you may be familiar with the term GLP-1, maybe something on the TV, you've seen the commercials for different ones. They're the shots, they're very synthetic, they're the drugs. And yeah, they are increasing GLP-1 hormone, but some people say, maybe they're sick and maybe they're different things going on. And you've probably heard the studies. I know there was another, I think it was ABC, somebody told me again this morning, more bad news about taking the shots. Well, here we're doing it naturally. So we're using some pills, 2 pills, first thing in the morning, as soon as you get up, super easy. Got to wait 30 minutes, not a problem at all. And then there's a powder that we can take a little later in the day that really is like the fertilizer for the 2 pills that we're taking earlier in the day. And we're able to get some super results. Look at these results. So we're increasing that GLP-1 hormone. Everybody starts somewhere different, but by 140% in the first 12 weeks. Now, this is one of 2 studies that the company has already done. We've got tons and tons of results. There's a huge Facebook group with just lots of results and stuff. But 9 pounds was lost in 8 weeks. Of this group, and 25 pounds in 12 weeks. Now, super interesting, and we've heard a lot of testimonies, with the synthetic or the drug, the big problem is people lose a lot of muscle. And particularly, as you're getting older, that's a real problem. You don't want to be losing any of that muscle. It's too hard to maintain and even harder to grow. So here, 100% who lost weight maintained their muscle. And a lot of the ladies that are tracking their muscle are gaining it too. So super exciting. And this is another great statistic, 27% reduction in visceral fat. That's fat around the middle. And you've heard how horrible that is for your health. So really excited about that. It is patent pending, our mind-body system. But so many people, as they took this product, got great results. Myself, reduce sugar cravings tremendously. 82% took back control of food. They made better choices. They chose smaller portions. They're losing body weight. And again, that visceral fat. But this is what you can expect. I mean, this is a hormone that we all have. And because of, processed food and maybe some alcohol and certainly aging and toxins, it is greatly decreased. In fact, they say that the heavier you are, the less GLP-1 you have. So there's a correlation between the amount of fat on your body and the GLP-1 hormone. But once you start supplementing with this, there's less food noise, you're feeling fuller longer. There's no need to snack between meals. You won't want to. You spend less time thinking about food. So if somebody's left something over, they've brought some dessert and left it over, there's something in the house that you really don't want, you're not thinking about it all night long like it's calling you. Have you ever had food call you? Fewer late night cravings, and ultimately all those good behaviors result in not only weight loss, but blood sugar levels and a whole host of health benefits they're talking about, because we've all heard the gut brain balance is huge and all the different things it does. And we're going to see a lot of studies coming out with heart health and all these different things that are going on as well. But look at the testimonies again. And again, I think we've had this about 6 months now. These are some that came along pretty quickly, that we're sharing, and probably should update because daily we're getting new and new pictures and stuff. But you can see the results people are getting very quickly, a lot around the middle, which is a really, really hard area, particularly as you get older, to go about and lose that weight. But like I said, earlier, we have a ton of different products, all different areas, things that help with mitochondria health. You may have heard that, NAD. We've got a phenomenal skincare line. We've got omegas, we've got Ds, we've got prebiotics, sleep, probiotics. We've got tons and tons of stuff there. But this creates an amazing opportunity. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my husband come in, and there's probably nobody better out there that can explain to us how we're going to go about making money. And he has a unique way of doing it pretty simply. So just hold on one second and he'll be joining us. Thank you for your time.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Every time I hear that term, food noise, I'm amazed because when using that product, that GLP-1, what I didn't realize is that food noise had been in my head my whole life. I just thought it was normal that, your brain just kept saying, eat more, eat more. Where's the sugar? Where's the carbs? And that product stopped that. I mean, it's amazing. It was there so long, like my whole life, that I didn't realize it was food noise until it got quiet. And then I'm like, wow, amazing. So here's the deal, folks. Activation is the way to do things now and obviously into the future. It is replacing traditional supplements that have been around forever, many, many decades, supplements. But, I mean, just think about it. Times change. 30, 40 years ago, our telephones had a long stringy wire hanging from them and they're on the wall. And now we walk around with many computers, in our pockets, which we call our phones. And the supplement industry or the wellness or holistic medicine side of things, it's changed too. And what we need, folks, we need more voices to help share the activation story. I mean, think about it for a second. Do you have any friends that want to feel better, lose weight, and might have an interest or a need for additional income? And it's so different than the way things were done years ago. I want to give you an example, okay? And I'm going to keep this real simple. I'm going to use that GLP-1 that April was talking about, our weight loss product, as an example. But do you realize that the least you could earn, okay, if somebody buys that is $20? I'm going to circle right here, the 19.99. So that's the least, okay, that anybody could ever earn, and that would be earnings on first customer. But I want to show you what a little bit of effort based on, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months type of thing, a little bit of effort. And you have to realize as you shrink, people notice. And when people notice, they ask. And the question is, what are you doing? Or what are you taking? Okay. And now a lot of times it's, are you doing that shot? And look, the shot works for some people, it doesn't work for other people, and some get great results and some get a lot of side effects, and not to mention it's expensive. But watch what happens with the numbers, okay? And this accumulates month after month. But once you have 4 customers, you're earning an extra 5% on top of that 19.99. So you're adding $6.40. You're making $26 per customer per month. Once you have 8 customers, you're making an extra 1280. It's 32.79 per person per month. 16 customers, $39 and change. Okay. 32 customers. Look at this number, $45. Do you realize? I mean, that nowadays with gas prices getting back into the mid $2, that would almost fill a tank of gas. So here's the number I want you to pay attention to because I'm going to give you some examples. And I want you to understand those before and after pictures from the collagen and protandem and from the GLP-1. You may not intend or plan on being involved or doing the business. You may have just heard about these products, say, man, I got to use that stuff. But trust me when I tell you, when the products work for you, people are going to be asking, okay, what are you taking and what are you doing? And here's my tip for the night. You might as well be a consultant in the business and buy the products at a cheaper price and have a website and an app on your phone where you can just give them a link and let them order it. Because if they don't order it from you, they're going to order it from somebody else. And all you need is a couple people ordering it, and you end up getting your product for free. So there's no downside. It's not about sales. People see the pictures and they want to know what's going on. But let me just give you an example. If there were 32 customers, you'd be making about, I'm going to round it off, about 1,400 a month. If you had 100 customers, you'd be making about 55,000 a year. But let's use this $1,400 number for a second. I want to give you a real simple business plan. Okay. Very, very easy business plan. Okay. If you, and I'm going to use you and two, that means you and two other people. That's it. Not you and 2,000 people, not you and 200 people. Okay. You and two other people. If you had the 30 customers, you'd be doing about 4,000 in business and your commission is 30%. So you'd be making 1,200 a month on your own. Okay. On your own customers. But if only two of those 30 customers decided that they wanted to earn some money too, 2 out of 30. Okay. I'm not talking about a big number here. Do you know we earn 10% off of our consultants, people that get involved in the business? So 10% of 4,000 is 400, 10% of 4,000 is 400. Another $800 gets added to the 1,200. And we've now supplemented, and think about this. This is online working from your phone. This is working every time you got 10 or 15 free minutes. This is either your laptop, cell phone, from wherever you are. It's 24,000 a year. Okay, extra. You know, that could pay the rent, that could pay the car bill, that could pay the car insurance, that could pay the grocery bill. You know, and it wasn't that big of a deal. Okay, but look at what happens if the two people you got two of their own. Well, why would they want to do that? So they can make 24,000. Okay, same reason. You know, is that all they got to do is get two like you did. But you know what? The company is going to pay you on those 4 consultants that come in under the two. Now you don't get 10% on them, you get 7. But you're at another $1,120 a month. And here's what it all adds up to: getting close to 40,000 a year with 7 people, sharing the results, the before and after pictures of the protandem and the collagen and the GLP-1. Man, that's pretty exciting. And I'll bet if you look through your phone and started looking, there's probably a lot of people that wouldn't mind having an extra 40,000 a year supplemental income. Now, here's what pushed my buttons. Okay. When April and I first saw this, and we've been with this company 7 years, but we had a 25-year career with a company prior to this that just had regular supplements. Okay. And we did over 200 million in sales with that company while we were there. And this is what was pointed out. Okay. Well, what if that scenario I just described right here, where my mouse is going around, that scenario of 40,000, what if I did that in New York, and I did that in Florida, and I did that in Texas? Well, now instead of making 37,000, I'm making 111,000. You know, what if I added Washington and Chicago and St. Louis? Well, now 222,000. See, there's no limit. If you do it one more time with three more cities or states, it's 333,000. You see what I'm getting to? It doesn't matter what you choose. Sometimes things take on a life of their own. Do you know one person could get involved in the business and decide they want to change careers and build a multi-million dollar business? I'll give you a number for me in April, okay? If you had sponsored us and in our first company, we did have a sponsor. You're going to love this one. He actually quit. He quit after year one. We stayed. So he did not get paid commissions on $200 million. He sponsored somebody that did $200 million in sales. And so he didn't get his commission on 200 million because he quit. Okay. You never know who's going to do what in this business, and you don't know where they're going to come from. So we use this simple business model that I just showed you and two, and sometimes it takes on a life of its own, okay? And we need help sharing the word because nobody knows about Lifevantage. Nobody knows about our business. Those three products that April talked about, we have a 74% reorder rate. Think about that. You may not know what the norm is in this industry for reorder, but I do. It's 19%. Okay. And those three products have a reorder rate of 74%. So it's really simple. Okay. If you want, people ask me all the time if they see one of our advertisements or if we're meeting for the first time, how can you simply explain how we earn money? And I'm like, look, you're going to make about 30% on all your customers or $30 on every $100. Okay. And when people get involved in the business and decide, to buy the products at a cheaper price and maybe start earning some money, you earn 10% on what they do. So you're going to make $100 on every 1,000. So you can use those two figures and create any business plan you choose. Okay. Anything you choose. And that's it. So 30 on customers and 10 on consultants. And there we go. It's that simple. Now, here's the good news. You don't have to take my word on any of this. Okay. You can go to LifeVantage on the NASDAQ and you can check out the average earnings where my red arrow is here, the average earnings of the different distributors with different certain amounts of customers, like I was talking about. It's right there, publicly stated on the NASDAQ stock exchange. And we report on numbers like every other company that's there every 90 days. We're finishing out a quarter now in March. Okay. So quarterly, the numbers are there, but those are average earnings for 2024. Obviously, we're just starting 2025. So, isn't that cool that it's all verifiable? So you're probably saying, well, what does it take to get involved in the business? There's multiple choices, and I would strongly encourage you to have a conversation with the person that hooked you up on this Zoom tonight. Whoever sent you the information to give an overview of what's going on, I can tell you this. There's different packages of the products, and the most expensive package that anybody can spend is $9.99. Okay. And they're going to get $1,400 or $1,500 worth of product alone, not including all the business materials that are included. Your website, the app for your phone, all the training material, all the marketing material, the shareables, everything business related comes with it. So, there's just different places you can start depending on the product you want to personally use and get started with. There's a $489 pack, there's a $349 pack. There's others. There's a $350, a $250. There's 6 or 7 different packs. So you've heard our three most popular products. April talked about them, but there's probably 25 or 30 products altogether. So talk to the person that gave you the information. Say, hey, Mary and I want to use this and this together. Okay, what do you recommend? And what else do you think we should try? And my advice would be this. Look, you can always be a customer, but customers pay more than consultants do. So if you're going to be a customer, at least go on subscription and get our discount. But if you come in as a consultant, you're getting the products even cheaper than subscription. So, even if you entertaining doing the business, you're never under any obligation. There's no monthly fees or anything to be in the business. You do it whenever you choose to do it. But my advice would be to come in as a consultant and save money on your product. Get the products cheaper. But here's the key, folks. you know, we need more voices spreading the word, about activation. It's one of the greatest medical breakthroughs that has ever happened in the field, that we're in. It's an amazing story, and we just need more voices out there spreading the word. We're the best kept secret out there. They're the greatest products. Well, obviously, the products have a money back guarantee. I told you we're a publicly traded company. April and I have been here 7 years, but the company's 16 years old. But again, if you don't believe what I'm saying, listen to what somebody named Warren Buffett has to say. Okay. You must position yourself in front of a growth curve, not in the middle or at the end, but at the inception, and then realize once you're started that window of opportunity is always closing. So work like there's no tomorrow. And that's Warren Buffett. He's 94 years old now, and this is his motto when it comes to business. Get in the beginning, work with some urgency, because more and more people will eventually know about it. And as they do, and it becomes more and more common, well, let me end with this. I'm gonna stop sharing the slides in a second, but who do you think made more money? The people that started buying McDonald's franchises in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, or the people that started buying them today? There were people that were buying them for 30, 40, $50,000 a franchise. And now there's people paying multiple millions for a franchise. So it does make a difference as far as timing goes. So anyway, I really appreciate your time. I want to stop the slides and say, hi, everybody. I want you to do me a favor. Okay. Somebody cared enough to give you an invitation to be on here, and probably followed up with you to remind you, to get on. Do them the same courtesy and let them know that you were on, and let them know kind of where you're at. Say, that's really interesting. I want to learn more. I want to get on those products right away. How can I get involved in the business and save money on the products? Just get back to the person and let them know what your thoughts are. And I can tell you it takes 5 minutes to get started. There's so much good stuff going on. If you want to really get off to a fast start, sign up tonight and meet us in Salt Lake City next month at our global conference. They'll tell you how to do that too. Just about everybody that's on the screen will be in Salt Lake City at our national global meeting, actually global meeting, not national. So anyway, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate your time. I'm about 2 minutes over. I do apologize for that, but please get back to the person that invited you and let them know what you're thinking. Okay? Have a great night. God bless you. We appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.